Good morning,
And then as I'm
Facebook.
posting the
How
link,
are you all doing? I am so
I'm gonna
excited
go ahead and allow
here
Alicia.
today. Let me get here. All right, so we are here for morning motivation. Um, good morning, everyone. So, hi, I am so happy that you all decided to show up today. Jasmine, thank you so much for that introduction here on Clubhouse. So we are actually streaming from Facebook into Clubhouse. So we're gonna kind of do some housework here for a second. So here on Facebook, let me introduce Jasmine. Jasmine is such an amazing person. She does a lot of work when it comes to like healing that childhood trauma. She does a lot of work with helping you to get through what one of our topic today, which is our storms, right? Because our storms that we deal with, they have roots and things like that. So Jasmine, welcome to the Facebook side. You've already been over here on the Clubhouse side. And so today we are going to be talking about, let's put this little ticker up here. We are going to be talking about keep your eyes on the prize, right? So the storm before the rainbow, and it's keep your eyes on the prize. And so one of the things that I want to talk about today is how do we stay focused in the midst of a storm? How do we stay focused when all hell is breaking loose? How do we stay focused when it seems like everything around us is not going right? The kids ain't acting right. They talking back. The husband ain't doing what he's supposed to do. The dog is acting like the cat, and the cat is talking like the dog. How in the world do we stay strong in all of this? Okay. And so, um, one of the things I want to really just like really talk about when it comes to just understanding storms and understanding our emotions when it comes to whenever we are in the midst of a storm. The storm, it's going to bring out it's going to bring out the things that are inside of us, right? And so whatever is attacking us at that moment, what emotion is going to come up? It's either going to make you sad, it's going to make you upset, angry. It's going to make you regret or have guilt. It's going to bring out a lot of different emotions and things in you. And sometimes is as human beings, we kind of sit and we ruminate in those thoughts. We ruminate in those feelings. And so it's so easy for our focus to get knocked off. It's so easy for us to forget what we're going after. It's so easy to forget what we are trying to achieve. And so today we are wanting to inspire you, to motivate you to keep your eyes on the prize. And so the question that I have is, and Jasmine, you can answer this as well.
Okay.
What are some things that actually come up for you, like whenever there's like a huge storm, or whenever there's an interference or a roadblock that comes up for you when you're just minding your own business, just doing what you are called to do? What are some things that come up for you?
Yes. So this is an interesting question. One of the things that come up for me is I think about my past. So like the one of the things we'll always do is when someone asks us a question, we go to the past. So I'll answer it in the past and then I'll answer it in the present as well. So for the past, Jasmine, I was running from the storm. I did not want to deal with it. Don't look. I'm shutting you out. I'm shutting you down. I'm confrontational. I'm defensive. I'm not letting you talk. I'm not trying to learn from the storm. Neither am I trying to be in it. I'm trying to be all the way out. But as I've grown and matured and started healing and really taking time to really assess and to observe myself, like one of the first things that we have to do in any storm is sit and understand why we're in the storm. Is it a storm we created? Is it a storm that God sent? Is it a storm that, we needed to do for development so that we can actually like move forward in life and elevate? Or is it a storm that's really showing us what's inside of us? When you said that, it made me think of like most of the storms that I've experienced have showed me how I handle people, how I
Mm.
handle myself, my inner critic, and things like that. So the more I ran from the storm, the more I stayed in cycles of stagnation, the more I stayed in cycles of defeat. But the more I said, you know what, I'm going to go through this storm. I want to learn from this storm. And even then, while I'm in the storm, when I get discouraged, when I start feeling those negative emotions, I'm going to literally keep my eyes on the prize, right? Keep my eyes on the promise. Like, so once I can decipher what the storm is meant to teach me, then I'm able to say, okay, let me learn my lesson so that I can prevent another storm occurring in that same like in that same concept. And then let me keep my eye on the promise that God gave me. So one of the storms, for example, that I'm facing now, that I've really been intentional about, right, is this idea of stepping into purpose. And with purpose, sometimes when we're in the storm, we get discouraged because it doesn't look like the way we expected it. But when I'm keeping my eyes on the prize to say that my life is bigger, God has given me promises, I'm able to move forward and take a step back to reflect and say, I'm not going to give up on this journey because this is what God has assigned to me and this is the promise on the other side. So that's a little bit about, how what I do.
That's good, because I actually was not thinking about. So what I was thinking about when it oh, hold on, I was on mute. Uh, oh, so what I was thinking about, I was not thinking about how you brought up the fact of how some people actually run from the storm. And so that there's a lot that I call that avoidance. I call that avoidance. And so for those who do run from the storm, you hit that right on the head. You sit and you stay in the same cycle, because every time you run, I always see the storm. I see the storm as an opportunity for growth. I see the storm as an opportunity to bring in your harvest, right? Because it's almost like when seed time, harvest. When you plant the seed, that storm is going to come. You need the storm to come in order for it to water the seed that you are planting, the thing that you ask God for, the thing that you have been praying for, that healing you've been looking for, the money you've been looking for, everything that you've been looking for. You've planted the seed and you're wondering, well, why don't I see it yet? It's because you've been running from the storm. You've been trying to protect. Oh, let me protect this seed. I don't want no water. I don't want this storm to damage it. But ultimately, that storm came to water the seed, right? It came to make you stronger. It came to bring you or help whatever you have planted to grow, right? So avoiding it, you're right. No, I did not think about that when you said that. I was, thinking about the people who simply complained about the storm. That's what I was thinking of, because that was me. Oh my God, girl, I would get on the phone. Can you believe this? I can't believe that so and so did this to me. I can't believe da 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 da. And now I got all of these feelings harbored inside, all of these mean feelings. And I was a vindictive person, right? So I will focus on whatever that storm was, and I will, if it was someone doing something to me, I would try to get back at them. Now, mind you, again, if I'm focusing on trying to get back, or if I'm focusing on trying to hurt somebody, or trying to, ruminating in the storm, I'm not focusing on what that prize was. I'm not focusing on the seeds that I planted. I'm not focusing on the fact that I want my child to be in this area or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I like that you brought that up. And so
But can I take it a step further real quick?
go ahead, add it.
Yeah. So two things came up. Like, when God started talking, he started talking. But two things came up. The first thing is complaining and being the victim or revenge is still running from the storm, because the thing about it is a lot of us try to put like the storms of our life on other people.
Yeah.
No, sis, it's for you. Like, the storm is for you to grow, for you to heal, for you to get whatever you prayed for. Like, it's not for other people. So complaining, it's self-deflection. You don't, and when you're complaining, you don't have to focus on yourself. You focusing on what the other person did to you. So that you're still running. You're still running from it. And then the other thing is like when you were talking, like God started like talking as well. It was the idea of when we're in storms, like we say, like we call them storms, but in reality, there's seasons. Like we have seasons of where we're happy. We have seasons of where there needs to be rain to clear out things. We have seasons of droughts where nothing needs to grow. The land needs, like we need to be refreshed. That's that whole thing of restoration. So like it's all about perception, right? We look at storms, like we call them storms, but God calls them seasons. There's
Mm,
seasons of growth, seasons of elevation, seasons of relaxation, seasons of
yes.
restoration. But we don't look at it like that because it's always negative. If we're not flourishing or living our best life or doing what we want, then everything's great. But when it's the, like, everything's opposite from what we want to do or how we expected life to be, it's a storm. When sometimes it's not storms, it's your life is going through times and seasons. And since we don't know the times and seasons, we struggle. So as a motivation, like, be comfortable and understand, like, sit down and take the time to observe your life and see what seasons have you not necessarily taken the lesson from. What seasons do you
Mm.
need to, like, go back and revisit? Because then you're able to see how you can break certain toxic cycles, how you can start healing and moving forward. But that only happens with being in the season, acknowledging the season and being prepared for it. So stop seeing your storm as a storm and start seeing it as seasons.
Girl, listen, you moving ahead, okay? We're gonna get into that, okay? But real quick, before we even jump into that, I want to reset the room. You guys are listening to Hey Sis, Show Up for You, Morning Motivation. I am Alicia Richardson, and we have also Jasmine Porter here. And so the topic for today is the storm before the rainbow. Keep your eyes on the prize. And we want to talk about the storm because the storm is, a lot of people are not appreciating the storm, and we want to put a new appreciation, a new mindset, a new shift toward how we see our storms, so that we don't continue to go backwards and we don't continue to stay stuck. All right, so I wanted to jump into that, Jasmine. I wanted to talk about, like, all right, so as we're now looking at the storm and we are beginning to, like, how do we, keep our eyes on the prize? And you said one of the things, which is leaning into the storm, hitting that thing full force. Yes, my mom just jumped on Facebook. Appreciate the process. Yes, mom. Appreciate the process. And that is the first key. That is the first key, is when you are in the storm, lean full into it. Take it on. God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and of a sound mind. So this storm cannot defeat you. When you see that storm, know that you are already more than a conqueror. Okay. So when you go into that storm, lean into the full process and say, God, okay, well, what am I to learn from this storm? And if you're not a person who can actually visualize or look, journal, begin to write out what is going on, what is happening. And then also begin to write out what are the feelings that are coming up for you. And then, as you're writing those feelings, what are the negative thoughts that are coming up for you? Then begin to write. If you're a scripture or affirmation, whatever you do, begin to write out those scriptures and affirmations against those things. And that's where you're going to pull your power from. Because a lot of times when we're going through things, sometimes we don't have the energy. We don't have the energy to push through. We don't have the energy to climb the mountain. Why? Because we haven't built those muscles yet, which is why we're going through the storm. So as you are beginning to put those scriptures down, say them affirmations, begin to build yourself, begin to build your mindset. You are you're building those skills so that you can actually get to the prize. You do not want to allow the distraction, something so small, because I can tell you right now, there are so many times in my life that I have stopped. And but today, as I look back, I'm like, wow, I let that little thing stop me. All I had to do is tell myself this. So as you're going on, You do not want these little things that are coming up for you to stop you from what your grand legacy is, stop you from reaching the things that you want to pass down to your children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. Okay. Even after you leave, you want your name to be talked about even after you are gone. So you cannot get to that point if you see these storms as something to be feared, if you see these storms as something that's going to overtake you. No, we cannot do that. Jasmine, what do you have?
Okay. So while you were talking, one of the things there were a couple things that came up for me, right? So one of the things I want to say is when you're dealing with like storms in general, like even before, like we all know that storms will come in life. That's a part of like test and trials. Like they come so that you can get a greater enlightenment, so that you can step into purpose, so that you can be healed, so that you can be free from things. Like they come for different reasons. But one of the things that me and Alicia talked about yesterday is the idea that you have to know what the prize is. And so I'm taking a little step back and taking a little deeper. Like a lot of us, when we go through storms, we don't even remember what the promise was. We don't even remember what the prize. We don't even have a destination of where we're going. So with that being said, the first thing you want to do if you don't have a destination and you're in a storm right now, I want you to take a second, get a pen and paper, and or do whatever you want. So like I love video blogging, so I'll do a video blog. I might even write. I might do a picture. It doesn't matter what it is. Art is a way of expression, but draw out what is the prize? What is the prize for you? What do you want? Because a lot of times we don't even think about what is the prize for us, because we have no vision on how to get to the other side of what's on the other side of the storm. What's the last thing God told you about yourself? What's the last thing God said you was going to do? What's the last thing you had a dream of? What did you want to do? And when you keep your eyes on the promise, like you have to know what the promise is first. You have to know what the prize is. And then the other thing, Alicia, to take it deeper with the steps that you gave, and I love the steps that you gave. But when it comes up to, what's that mindset and what are those negative thoughts coming up, you need to write those out explicitly. Like I take time to, like, if I'm in a negative cycle or if I'm having some emotions that come up that are not benefiting me, I take time to write all of them out. And then I write down, is it my thought? Is that my mindset? Is that something that I was taught? And then I write down, is it factual? Like, is this truth? Like what, and then for to take it a step further, for those that believe in the Bible, you write down in scripture, because a lot of the things that we take on as mindsets are very contrary to the word of God. And if you believe that the word of God is the living truth, then 9 times out of 10, God's going to give you like what he actually said. Like when we say I'm depressed, God says, no, I'm filled with joy. When he says, I'm going, like we think we're going to die, and God says, no, you'll live and you'll live abundantly. Like we have to go back and like literally take steps. It's a steps and process to renewing and rewiring the way that you have literally fallen back on thinking, and that those mindsets and those negative emotions, they're all past records of past traumatic experiences. So you really have to do the time and take the work to actually like reassess and observe what's really going on internally, because sometimes it may just be you shedding off everything that everybody else has said, shedding off everything that you thought you were, who you thought you knew you were, and how you thought you operated in seasons and periods of trauma. So you really have to take the time to do the work, so that you can so that you can become healed, so that you can step into your next, and so that you don't miss the promise. And that the thing is this: there's sometimes that, like Alicia said, we've given up. I gave up at some point in my life. Alicia gave up. Everyone has had something that they gave up on, right? But the thing is, God doesn't always just take it from us. Like he'll give you chances and time to say, go back and revisit that. This is the season of opening that back up. So don't discredit yourself and beat yourself up. That is a trauma mindset you need. That's why you need to write it out so you can address it. But he will give you a way so that you can now go back and revisit, now go back and review the plan, rewrite it, like now update it, make it better, like these some new keys. He gives you new keys of how to address things. So that's something I really wanted to say, and I'm going to pass the mic back to
That is awesome. That is good. Now, I think that we've kind of given everyone like something to just chew on for the day. And that's what our goal is, to give you something to chew on. But also our goal is not to go past 20 minutes on here. So So I don't know. Are you able to pin that form? Yep. So there's a form here for you to go and dig deeper on based on what we talked about. So if you're here on Facebook, it's actually inside of the description. So you can just click that link in the description and it's going to take you to a form of where you can actually dig deeper of what we talked about today and what has come up for you. And another thing is remember to go ahead and join the Intentional Success Tribe on Facebook. And also, I think, oh my if you have any comments or anything, if you want to put them in the back channel, you can. Uh, Jasmine, do you have anything going on before we leave out of here? What do you have anything going on this week, this year? What do you have?
Yes, thank you for that. So I do have every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be doing my Gift from God workshop. So please go ahead and tune in on that. It will be on Clubhouse. I'll make sure to share the link with Alicia, and it's obviously on my page. But I want to take a step back and say, if you're on Club, like, so Alicia's functioning and doing Facebook, but if you're on Clubhouse and you have not followed Alicia, you have not connected with the person on side of you. So thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Dr. Fanike. I want you to go ahead and follow that person on, whether that's on Instagram, follow that person, whether that's on Clubhouse, because you never know like what that connection could do for you. What's the next thing that could open up for you, how you can serve that person. It's not always about what you can get, but necessarily how you can serve and how you can be connected to actually bring value. All about everything about life, because we are gifts from God, is about bringing value not only to the world but to your life, to others. So make sure that you connect with the person on the side of you. So with that being said, like that's what I got coming up. This was an amazing talk, tuning in. And I'm going to pass it back to Alicia so she can close out Facebook, and then I'll come back so we can close out and wrap up Clubhouse.
Awesome. So I thank everyone for joining here on Facebook. I am so excited that you guys could join in. Please remember to follow Jasmine as well and take a look at her workshop that she has coming up. And again, we're going to be here tomorrow. This is all week long for Clubhouse, all of December. We're praying for it that it goes longer. But here on Facebook, y'all know I do this every day. I love this. You already know my reason behind it. It was to help me initially, but I see how it has impacted so many other lives. So I will see you all tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And thank you for your love, your comments. And Mom, thank you. I love you. And Miss Sabrina, thank you for joining in as well. Love you guys. I shall talk to you all later. Goodbye.